gamers all around the world. Today I'm gonna do something that you guys have been asking for, and I figured might as well make a video. I get these questions very often. Which civ is the best civ on this map? Which civ is best on that map? What civ should I play on this map? So let's make a guide, tier list, whatever you want to call it. So this is the map pool. This is the current ladder map pool that we're dealing with. So what I'm gonna do, I know this will not stay a little notepad, but just before every little tier list, I'm gonna write down the map here so you guys know exactly what we're doing. All right, so let's get started with the basic one, aka the Dry Arabia. I'll give you guys a quick rundown on how the map is usually played, and then just do the tier list real quick, and then move on to the next one. So I'm not going to be spending like 40 minutes per map, because ain't nobody got time for that. All right, let's get started. So for Dry Arabia, it favors like aggression, it favors, you know, being active on the map, but you can also do second TC builds. Rushing Castle on Dry Arabia is probably not you know, super good, or just like booming with China in general, but civs that can be aggressive very early on are really good. We got French at the top, we got Mongols. I think Abbasid is really good. English so-so. Delhi is really good. I'm gonna do the whole tier list and kind of run down through civs. I think Ottoman is really good. Malian, and it's okay. HRE, and then China. Now, French obviously is a super aggressive civ. Mongol is super aggressive. Delhi with the sacred sites. The sacred sites are really spread out, which is what Delhi wants. Delhi doesn't actually want the sacred sites to be too close to one another. You want to force fights everywhere. Abbasid, in general, can be played against these other best civs on Dry Arabia, but it's not necessarily good Abbasid map. It's just that Abbasid is good on Dry Arabia because the civs that are played on it are not that great against Abbasid, or Abbasid has a good time against them. And then Ottoman, there's the build that I did the guide for with just mass archers all in push. It's very good on this map. There's two woodlines that are very close to you. The food is pretty far away from your TC, and Ottoman doesn't really need that for that build, so it's a very good one. Now I do want to say, I always want to make sure I say this so everyone understands, that doesn't mean, this list doesn't mean that China cannot win on Dry Arabia, or that Rus cannot win on Dry Arabia. It just means that they're not as good as some of the other civs. AKA, if you want to practice a civ per map, China is probably better used somewhere else, even though China is the best civ right now. I'm gonna go like this actually. So second row, I think English, Malian, HRE, and China. I think they're like it says, they're okay, but there are better maps for those civs, and technically you can play HRE or China on this map, except booming is a lot harder, and if the food spawns forward, you're gonna have a pretty bad time as China. And regarding English, it's a very open map, so you know, you're dealing with infantry, so sometimes it's hard to get around stuff, but in general, English is not really bad anywhere. The reason why Rus is bad, Rus used to be probably one of the best civs on Dry Arabia, not so much anymore because the second TC is so delayed. Now Rus is played as on land maps. It's kind of like a weird 2 TC trying to boom kind of civ, and that kind of playstyle on Dry Arabia is not great. If you want to boom, just pick China or English, you're gonna have a better time. All right, next one we will be talking about is Lipany. So Lipany is also in the ladder map pool. So Lipany is very similar to Dry Arabia in the way it plays. Obviously there are some crazy spawns that Lipany can have, like with the mountains and all that, but I am assuming a normal-ish Lipany where it's like half of the map is not walled off. So the two best civs by far, and this is not even a competition, are Ottoman and Delhi. Abbasid and Delhi. Now with the recent patch, Ottoman is coming to the play as well, and I think Ottoman is best civ, or one of the best civs on this map, because it's very good, in my opinion, against both Delhi and Abbasid. So it's kind of, like, again, it's one of those where Ottoman's not really good on Lipany, but because Delhi and Abbasid are picked so often, then Ottoman is a pretty good choice. Which I'm not sure if I should be including, you know, the process of thinking like that or no, but in my opinion, that's what makes Ottoman good on Lipany, right? Because it counters the civs that are often played on that. What patch? Well, the patch that introduced the new civs. China, again, it's okay. English is okay. French can be pretty good on this map as well, which is why we see it picked so often. I think Mongol is pretty good on this map. Atri is okay. Rus not so much, and I would say Malians is probably not too great on this map. The difference between this and Dry Arabia is Lipany can spawn in many different, like, bad ways, and Lipany has more berries than usual, so any civs that wanna not go farms, like English, like for example, English is okay on this map because they don't get the full potential of using all the berries out on the map, so it's not as great. Rus used to be an you know, best civ on this map, or one of the best civs on this map, for the same reason that Ottomans are. They had a really good matchup into the other civs that are played, but I think also Ottoman has a good matchup against Mongol and against French. On the other side, like I said, Ottoman doesn't have a good matchup, I think, into English, China, and HRE, which is why it's a pretty good pick, because you're not going to see a lot of people like playing China on this specific map. All right, next thing next map we're going to be talking about. Let's do the Pit. The Pit. So this is one of the ladder maps that's, you know, some people like it, some people hate it. And even though this map seems very open, in general, it ends with a lot of camping, a lot of like walling off and stuff like that. And because of that, and because it has very early aggression, English on this map is one of the best civs, because the split map scenarios happen very often. And it's also super low rush distance, so you can actually, you know, just do longbow spearman push very easily and try to kill your opponent really quick. Now, I think China is also really good on this map, depending how you play it. If you go for 2 TC super defensive kind of play, China maybe is not great, but you can actually do Barbican rushes with China on this map very easily. And if the map gets to that point where it's like split map scenario, I mean, that's pretty good for China. So it's a pretty weird map regarding that. I would not necessarily say that this is like a great map for Malians because of all this rushing, whether it's Barbican rush or English rush. You can lose your gold pit mines, especially if the English is doing men-at-arm rush, which is very popular in this map due to short rush distance. So it becomes kind of hard to defend. And all the other gold mines on this map are pretty far away from your TC spawn, and it becomes harder to defend your gold mines as Malians. Now, HRE I would say is pretty okay on this map. If you want to play defensive, it's not that great, but you can do like Burgrave pushes, again, because of its short distance, but you know, some of the other civs might have better time on it. French, I'm going to probably put, you know, one of the best civs. Again, self-explanatory, it's a short map, knights, poggers, as well as the first wood line you have is like the small wood line, and then you have to take the back wood line, which is not in the range of TC, so the French knights can actually do a lot of harassment, and they're pretty good because of it. I think Delhi is really good on this map. It's very easy for Delhi to wall off or section off the map and get the sacred sites, even though it can have some. Actually, I'm going to put it in OK tier. I think it can be played really well, but there are a lot of like early rushes that can mess up with Delhi and then make it harder for Delhi to kind of pop off. But I'm going to put it in an OK tier. Rus, I would say, is just pretty bad in general. for the same reasons. Like I said, it's not really an early rush civ anymore. It's more of a mid to late game kind of civ, and this is just not a good map for them. Even if you take a boar on one side, you can potentially get punished because the boar is always between you and the opponent. So yeah, I think Ottoman is okay. It's not amazing. Ottoman is a very good feudal civ, but it does take a little bit to kind of get going. Like, it doesn't instantly start pumping at like 5 minutes like French. It starts kicking in around 7-8 minutes, and by that time you will already, you know, feel the pressure from either Chinese or French or English. So it makes it okay. And again, I'm basing this a lot off of which civs are the best on these maps and kind of trying to adjust my ratings after that, and in general how you want to play on this map. I think Mongol can be really good or really bad on this map, but I'm still gonna put it in the best tier. Again, short rush distance. The tower rushes hit really early, and sometimes you can have like the back wood line, which is like your big wood line. You can have gold there, so if Mongol puts a tower at your like gold and deny the back wood line, you're in a lot of trouble. But sometimes this map has weird spawns where if you're running through the middle and you try to move to the right, the TC can shoot at you. So it's kind of weird, but I do think that Mongol is pretty decent on this map. And once you follow it up with a castle rush right after, you can do like men-at-arm, lancers super quickly. So yeah, Abbasid at the end, it's nothing special. Like, I think it's okay. Abbasid is kind of like Ottomans, but maybe I'm inclined to put Abbasid into a bad tier, but it kind of feels weird putting Abbasid there. Like, Abbasid is a boom civ. It's kind of like Ottoman. It takes a little bit to kick in, but it's more macro oriented. So it's just not that great in my opinion. If I had another tier, I would probably put it in between okay and bad. For the 5th time, guys, this does not mean that those civs are unplayable. This is my personal opinion of which maps are good where and which ones you should pick. So if you've played, you know, Rus on these maps and now you see this and you're like, I'm never playing Rus again, that's not the point of this video. Let's do all land maps first, and then I'm gonna do hybrid maps and then the one water map that we do have. The next one we'll be doing is Altai. So Altai is a very camp map, and this is the first, what I like to call just a camp map. It's very defensive, it's very hard to all-in people, and it's generally a boom map or some kind of weird style map. Delhi, in my opinion, is pretty bad on this map. The reason why Delhi is really bad, it's very hard to put pressure on the opponent, because if they there's always like two sides on Altai. One is like where it's like kind of open, the other one is like super walled off with tree lines. If your opponent spawns there, you're gonna have very hard time pushing in your opponent. Then there's also the RNG of like where the sacred sites are. Sometimes the sacred site spawns in a really shit spot for you, and then you can't get it, and then, you know, it becomes very annoying. It's very easy for the opponents to wall you off as well on Altai to make you not be able to access the sacred site, so not great. Rus, I would probably put them in okay tier, because the map being more walled off gives you a little bit more time to survive and kind of go further. And if the map reaches later stages of the game, you're going to have a very good time with the Rus Siege and Streltsy. But also boar, usually on this map, there's boar towards the middle. So if you take the boar with the wooden fortress, you kind of get a little defensive position and you get a boar, so feels good. The next civ is, the next two civs is China and English, and they're the best for the same reason. They can both go like 2 TC, boom, and once you get castle or imperial, probably in imperial, 2 of the best civs you can play on this map. And it's very hard to break both of these civs on Altai, simply because of how like compact the map is. Malians, we're going to put it in bad Malians require like open space, free space, so any map that has like walls and stuff is not too great for Malians, because you do want to be somewhat active on the map. Next civ we will be talking about is French. French is pretty bad on Altai. It's probably the worst civ actually on Altai. You know, French is all about knight harassment, and you can't really harass with knights on this map. So Mongol is really good on this map for a different reason. So because the map is so compact and the mountain kind of covers one side of your base, if you get a little bit of a bad spawn, if a Mongol puts like one tower, they can deny both of your wood lines, and that can create so many problems. They can go into castle right after, and they can do a massive siege push that's going to be really hard for you to stop, because getting resources, if your main resources are kind of blocked off, is going to be really difficult, and you're going to be in a pretty crap spot. Next civ that we'll be discussing is probably this is a hard one. I'm gonna put HRE in OK tier. HRE, it has pretty good matchups into these, and you have deer. Maybe it is a really good civ on this map. Yeah, I'm gonna go with best. So HRE starting this map is really good because you spawn with deer in your base, which allows you to get a super fast castle, and Mongol Tower Rush is not that great against HRE. HRE into China is pretty good. You can hit castle way before them and put some aggression, and same thing with English. Like English cannot put enough pressure on HRE before HRE gets to castle. So yeah, and kind of like the natural predator of HRE is French, which is not really played too much on this map. The next civ we will be discussing is Ottoman. I do think it's a bit better than French, but as a civ that's very aggressive, it's hard being aggressive on this map. But you do have some options with siege, you know, mid to late game, so it is a bit better than French, but not great. And the last one we will be talking about is Abbasid. I think Abbasid is okay on this map. Not great, not bad, it's just okay. Like, you can do siege pushes in castle, but the map layout doesn't benefit it too much. Abbasid is like it's a different boom civ compared to English and China, because English and China want as many like walls and crap around their base protecting them. But Abbasid is a boom civ, but they kind of want to play on open maps because they usually play with horsemen, with camel archers, and just masses of units. So yeah. All right, that was Altai. The next one we will be doing, which maybe I shouldn't have even moved the tier list because it's probably going to be around the same, is Hideout, and that is another camp map. So Hideout is going to follow a lot of what Altai is following. So you have English, you have China, you have HRE that are absolutely S tier. Then on the other side you have Mongols that is pretty bad. Number one is you can actually just wall up the entrance if you see Mongol tower rushing. It is a lot harder to tower rush because the map is like very big, very open, so if you tower rush them, they can just go somewhere else. There's always a backup gold in your base. There's deer, which don't particularly benefit Mongol too much. And if the game reaches like castle or even imperial, Mongol obviously cannot wall, so then they can get raided pretty easily. French, same reasons like Altai. It's incredibly hard to harass with knights if your opponent just completely walls off. Now, I'm gonna put Malians in OK here. The only reason why I'm putting them in OK, because I said earlier they require open space. What makes them okay on this map is the fact that there's so many large gold veins, so you can actually put your pit mines on the big gold veins and then get way more gold income. And you even start with one in your main base, so you can already, you know, get more gold than you normally would on a map. And then you can kind of play map control Malians, try to control the map and kind of wait outside to ambush your opponent. But probably would not be my go-to civ. Ottoman, I would probably would put this in bad tier. Rus, I would put it in okay. Abbasid, I would probably put in okay. And then Delhi, I would put in okay as well. Now, Delhi is a weird one because this map should be pretty bad for Delhi because the opponents wall off and then you can't attack them. But there is a lot of food sources on the map and a lot of them are outside. So if you just stay in your base against Delhi, Delhi will get 3 sacred sites. They will go castle and then they can just make keeps on the sacred sites and try to go for sacred site of victory. So you kind of need to be careful against Delhi to not play too passive. Even though they can't kill you, they can take the whole map. And then you have Abbasid that, you know, they can go for boom strategies like 2, 3, 4 TCs, but then the civs they're playing against are kind of better at that more passive gameplay. So it's not in their favor, right? And you can't really go like 2, 3 TC on Hill and Dale with Abbasid and then be aggressive because it's early to wall off. So, yeah. All right, let's move on to the next one. Let me see which maps we got left. We got Hideout. Let's do that one next. Oh, so let's do Hideout. This is one of the new maps. And hey, Rus is about to do it, guys. Are you ready? Rus is one of the best civs on this map. Rus has done it. Coming back from the depths of hell. So the reason why Rus is good on this map is there's few reasons. Number one reason is the map is easy to wall. It's easy to split. You know, wall the sides and drag the game on longer. There's plenty of wood on the map, and it's very safe wood. So if you enter siege wars later on, you have really good siege as Rus. So that's very nice. But the number one thing that makes Rus good on Hideout is a weird one. And this is the only map where we have this kind of strategy, which is why I'm taking so much time talking about it. Hideout has so much wood that your hunting cabins give you batshit insane amounts of gold. So there's a strategy on Hideout where you can actually go normal opening, but then you add like 2, 3, 4 more hunting cabins and you don't mine any gold. And your hunting cabins are going to give you like between 50 and 80 gold per minute. Like a bad one is 50 gold. And I've seen hunting cabins that gave like 110 gold per minute. To put in perspective, a relic gives you 80 gold a minute. So you can basically get a relic in Dark Age as Rus. So you don't need to mine gold. You can rush castle. Then you can go horse archers, or you can go knights, or you can go boom and kind of drag the game out. Also 8 deer packs. Nope. In 1-on-1s, there's only 4 deer packs. That was changed. Another good thing about this map and about Rus is because you have so much gold, there's another thing you can get as Rus, and that is professional scouts, which you don't really get anymore with any civ on any map. But because you have so much gold, you can actually go for pro scouts and take opponents' deer. Wait, is there 4 deer packs or 6? I'm actually not sure. But either way, you'll be able to... Yeah, there's 6, because you each start with 1, right? No, I think you each start with 1, and then each player has 2 more. It used to be 8, but I think they changed that a while back. Yeah, there's plenty of wolves, so you shouldn't have any issues reaching 250 bounty. And yeah, I think surprisingly, it's funny because land maps right now are not great for Rus, but this map is really good for Rus. Mongo, pretty bad. It might look good because you can like put a tower and then you can kind of deny a lot of your opponent's base. But at the same time, there's so many resources in your main base. With deer, with berries, your safe wood line, which is most of the time you want to kind of tower the wood line. So the only thing you can really tower is like gold. But if opponent sees that you're Mongol, it's very common to tower rush with Mongol. They can just pre-make a tower and then you're kind of screwed. Not to mention later stages in the game, if you can't wall on this map, you're gonna be in a lot of trouble. Oh, also, that's right, landmark with Rus, you can get over 500 gold per minute with the what's it called? High trade house in castle. You can get insane amounts of gold with it, which you should always go on Hideout. Next civ is French. Pretty bad. You know, all the resources are super compact, super next to each other, which makes this civ not too great. Same thing with Ottomans. Maybe Ottomans are okay on this map. I'm gonna put them okay. I think English is really good. I think China is really good. It's very easy to split this map. And it's also very hard to kill your opponents early on this map, which makes both of these civs pretty good. I think HRE is quite good. Getting to fast castle is super easy, or even fast imperial. You have safe wood lines, so you can just, you know, pump out as many farms as you want. Obviously, HRE is on a bit of a timing because you're playing against civs that are really strong in the late game, but it does have a very strong start. Delhi is straight up awful on this map because, well, the two sacred sites are on the opposite sides of the map, so, and there's only two sacred sites. With Delhi, you want 3 because you get more gold. I think Malians are actually okay on this map. I don't mind them too much. You can go fast scouts, you can go pro scouts with Malians and take a bunch of deer from your opponent's side of the map. Your scouts are very fast, you can deny vision. Overall, not bad. And there's a lot of big gold veins which you can build your pit mines around. And then last one, I would say Abbasid is probably one of the best civs in this map, I think. It's also a good late game civ, so no reason not to play Abbasid. But the food sources are a bit spread, maybe too spread for Abbasid, but I think it's still okay. It's still a fine civ, but probably wouldn't be my top pick out of these 4 ones. So that was Hill and Dale. We have Mediterranean, Ancient Spires, and Forest Ponds left. Ancient Spires. So, what about Burgrave Rush in this map? You can Burgrave Rush because it's very hard to wall off on a Hideout, but it kind of depends on what your opponent is playing as well. But if you can get a fast castle, why not? But the rush distance is pretty far in Hideout, so be careful. It might look like it's not, but it is. Ancient Spires. The best civ probably on this map is Mongol. For obvious reason, you can tower rush not only your opponent, but you can tower rush their water, so you kind of negate the whole water thing. And you can also get a really good TC spawn where you have TC next to wood and gold, and then you can put your Gur on the fishes, so you can have insane food gathering rate as Mongols at the start, and there's nothing that the opponent can do about it. But if the opponent does the same, you can mess them up. The next civ on this map is probably Delhi. Ancient Spires only has 2 sacred sites. It's not good for the reasons I mentioned previously. French is it's also not great. Ancient Spires is a lot about either if you can rush your opponent and deny them fishing while you get the fishing, or a civ that can maybe go fishing boats early on and try to get like some kind of advantage or boost that way. And French is neither of those. Like, French can harass with knights, but again, Ancient Spires can have a lot of the spawns that it's very easy to wall off, especially if you went water. It's like, what is your opponent going to harass? They can't really kill fishing boats. So I don't think French is too good of a civ here. Abbasid, I would probably say, is one of the best civs. They do get cheaper docks, and there's a lot of like little ponds. So with Abbasid, you can actually go for multiple ponds or multiple docks in Dark Age and just try to get, you know, just 3-4 fishing ships, 5 fishing ships per pond, and just get that extra economy going because their docks are cheaper, and then you can continue into boom as usual. Rus, I would say, is pretty bad on this map. The reason for that is Rus cannot really benefit from docks or from just gathering fishes because their hunting cabins cost 100 wood, so you don't want to build multiple hunting cabins around those little ponds. Is going to cost you way too much, and then you also don't want to build a dock because your fishing ships are extremely expensive and they kind of take a little bit to kick in because you got to build a dock for 150 wood, and then you got to build a fishing ship that's also 150 wood. So not a great civ. Hatchery, I think on this map is really good. If you get some good RNG, you might get a chapel on fishes, you might get a chapel on fishes, wood and gold, and in general, whenever hatchery starts with a lot of food or extra food near their TC, that's usually a good map for them. Honestly, Ottomans, I'm gonna be honest, I don't know, but thinking about it, it's probably okay because you can actually put pressure and just kill fishing ships with the amount of archers you have in the early game. So I wouldn't necessarily say it's an insane map for them, but it's probably okay. China is really good. If you do go for a dock with China, you can actually produce ships 20% faster, so it's going to allow you to get that economy up very fast. And if your opponent is trying to be aggressive, you can always go Barbican and protect whatever they're trying to be aggressive on. I would say Malians, I don't really see a reason why Malians would be specifically good on this map. There's nothing on this map that screams like, oh yeah, Malians are pretty good here. So I'm probably going to put it in bad. And then the last one, which is English. I think English is okay. English is probably one of the civs that it's never, I feel like, bad on any map. It's not the best civ, but it's also a civ that doesn't really have any map that's like, oh, that map is just trash for them, right? Because you can play English at open maps, you can play it on closed maps, water maps, whatever map you want. But I would probably put these civs in this way for Ancient Spires. Next one. Let me reset these civs. The next one we have is, we got forest ponds and then Mediterranean. So let's do forest ponds next. Forest ponds is one of the new maps, and it's, if you guys watch the tournaments, forest pond is basically 4 lakes. When I say basically, I mean it's pretty much 4 lakes. It's like 4 lakes, hideout, a mix of those two. So which civs are good on this map? We got our bad boy Rus coming at the top. Very good. They have extremely efficient fishing because their ships don't need to go back to drop off the food. There's insane amounts of wood. There's rich gold next to their TC. So Rus can kind of boom while they're fishing really fast, and they can also rush castle. And if you want, just like on 4 lakes, if you guys watch pro games, you can basically go mass horseman spearman with Rus because you will have so much food income because of your fishing boats being really good. That, what I just said, all that you just heard, same goes for China and HRE. All 3 of these are civs that can just spam absurd amounts of units, and that makes them really good on this map. I would probably put French in actually okay tier. This might be a bit of a weird one, but you have initial woodline that's small, and then the next woodline is very exposed. And when you age up with French, you can actually instantly make horsemen or knights, and you can instantly go for harassment. Civ that is pretty bad, I would say pretty bad, is Delhi. The reason why Delhi is not good on this map, actually I haven't even tried Delhi too much, but the problem with this map in Delhi is you cannot go for Sacred Side win, and that is a problem. And another problem, and why Delhi is bad on 4 lakes for the same reason, is Delhi is a civ that puts pressure on the opponent's economy and tries to kind of win on food and deny your opponent's resources. But because your opponent spawned with big gold, big stone, massive wood line, and then your food income was on water, Delhi doesn't really have where to attack and what to do. Which one is 4 lakes again? The one where there's 4 lakes in the corners. It looks exactly like this, except there's no wood in the middle. There's wood kind of sprinkled around everywhere. Another problem is, like I said, there's 4 sacred sites, so you cannot go for sacred site to win, because one of the sacred sites is in opponent's base, which 4 sacred sites is great for Delhi, but not when one of them is opponent's base. Next one, I think Malians are pretty okay here. Not necessarily amazing, but I do think they're okay. They have a lot of passive gold income from the start, and with fishing, they're going to have even more of that economy, so you can just kind of mass units. Another civ that is one of the best is English. All their ships are cheaper, so if you go for the dock, which you should, you can even go double dock, one on each lake. You can get your economy going with fishing, and then the moment you hit feudal, you can be very aggressive with longbows, with spearmen, and kind of force your opponent to make units while you yourself are not investing too much into it. And then if the game reaches some kind of split map scenario, it's very good for you. Abbasid, I would say Abbasid is probably pretty good on this map. The reason for that is we've seen some players like Mista play Abbasid on 4 lakes with really great success. The reason why Abbasid would be pretty good on this map is because you can open double dock in Dark Age, because your docks are 75 wood, and you can just kind of do Omega Boom and then straight into mass units, which is what Abbasid kind of loves to play. Just sheer masses of units, and then you can add Siege and Castle and kind of overwhelm your opponent. If you do play Abbasid, I would suggest that you go Culture Wing for feudal, and then Military Wing in Castle. So without Economic Wing, because you will most likely be on 1 TC and then just do massive push. Mongo's pretty bad on this map, in my opinion. If you want to try deny the docks, it's going to be pretty difficult. The map is quite large, so you would have to go horseman. If you go horseman, if your opponent goes for spears, you're screwed. Not great. And also the map is very open, so Mongol cannot wall. Problems, right? And then the last one we have is Ottomans. I think Ottomans is okay on this map. Nothing special. It's not as bad as Mongols or Delhi, but not as good as some of the other ones. It can have some advantages on top of like all the free units you're producing. You also have crazy good economy to just keep spamming the units. Where's English here? Right here. And that is it for, as I like to call it, budget 4 lakes. And the last map that we have is Mediterranean. I don't know how to spell Mediterranean, but the last map we got is Mediterranean, and this is the only, what I like to call, full water map. So you have Dry Arabia, Pit, Lipany, I would call open maps. You have Hill and Dale, Hideout, maybe even the Pit is considered that, and Altai, which are kind of like camp maps. Hideout is not a camp, semi-camp map. Hill and Dale and Altai are super camp maps. Then you have Ancient Spires and Forest Spawns, which is hybrid maps. Hybrid maps are the maps that have water in them, but the main focus is not the water. They're just kind of used as a bonus to your economy. And then Mediterranean is a full water map. So let's get into it. The best civs for full water maps, and this is no matter what map it is for water. So if we get another map pool and there's another full water map, like Boulder Bay pretty much follows the identical civ tier list that I'm about to do. it's the usual suspects, and this is something we have seen a lot in the Red Bull tournament. These 4 are probably the best water civs. English, they have cheaper ships, so not only you have cheaper fishing ships, you also get cheaper fighting ships, and you get a unique upgrade for English, which increases the range on your fighting ships by 1, which is crazy good. And you have longbows. The moment you age up, you can go for longbows and harass your opponent. The bad side of English is you don't have any eco bonuses, but I guess your eco bonuses is your ships being cheaper. China is China. They produce 20% faster from their docks, and they have imperial officials, which are really good. And then if you ever reach like castle, you have palace guards, so that's also really nice. Rus. So at Red Bull, not many people practice Rus. Vortex, Luciferon, and I think were the only players that practice Rus for Mediterranean and Boulder Bay. A lot of people didn't consider them good, but I think it's one of the best civs. And the reason for that is you can age up faster than your opponents, and then you can transform 2 ships into arrow ships, do some damage to their fishing eco, kind of mess them up a little bit, and you also get 20% more wood from wooded fortresses, and your fishing is the best in the game because your fishing boats don't have to return to the dock. And then the last one is HRE. The chapel and the 40% bonus gathering it gives you early on is absolutely insane for water, because you'll simply have way more ships than your opponent will. It comes with a downside. Once the chapel kind of runs out of wood to boost your villagers on, the HRE slows down, but by then you should have some kind of lead. And you can make men-at-arms in feudal age, just like English, so you can also put pressure on the land with those. I think Abbasid is okay. A lot of other high-level players rate Abbasid as also one of the best. I don't think it's one of the best. Even though the docks are cheaper, it's not that big of a difference. And also Rus hard counters Abbasid. So Abbasid usually goes for multiple docks in Dark Age, and Rus rushes feudal. So you can imagine when Abbasid is still in Dark Age, Rus is in feudal, transforms the 2 ships into arrow ships, and then is able to kill a lot of fishing ships of Abbasid. Bad is Delhi. Bad is I think French is okay, actually. I have experimented a lot with it. I know we have seen literally 0 games on it on Mediterranean, but I have played some French on Mediterranean, and it's basically the same idea as English, where you age up and you can easily produce horsemen or knights to harass. So I think it's okay, but it's not great. It's worse than Abbasid, I'll say that. So realistically, there should be like another tier where French is under Abbasid but above Delhi. But I think it's okay. You can try it out. Same thing with Ottomans. Ottoman actually have a really good ship in Castle Age. The problem is it's very hard to get to Castle Age on full water maps, because you need to invest your economy fully into water. Like, you cannot make a ship here and there. You need to fully commit to water. Yeah, and Ottomans have docks that are cheaper. They cost 100 wood, and their military production buildings cost 100 wood. So you can potentially do some shenanigans on the land while you're on the water at the same time. I think Malians is okay. On water as well. The reason why they're okay, I would say, is because they have a unique upgrade that makes their arrow ships the best ships, because they shoot like javelins or something, or extra arrows, like I forgot what. So if you get to a point where you're massing arrow ships, Malians are pretty good. But before that, they are kind of so-so, because it's a little bit harder to get to that point. You do have passive gold income from the pit mines, which is really good, which means you can put all your villagers on the wood line. So that's pretty nice. The last civ, and the reason why I saved it for last, is it's between bad, okay, and best. And for now, I'm going to put it in bad, and I'll explain why. So in general, this is a terrible map for Mongols because you can't really do dock rushing because sometimes the dock spawns or the water spawns too close to your TC. So sometimes you cannot actually attack the enemy dock. Now, why it might be okay or best is because there's apparently a build that I have not seen, so I don't have a lot of experience, so this is something that you guys can try out. Apparently there's a build where you open with a dock with Mongols, just like with any other civ, except you go for the silver tree and you start trading on land immediately. So you get like batshit insane income. You know, you continue fighting on water just like any civ does, but you kind of sprinkle in a trader here and there, and you get quite a large economy boom on land while fighting on water. And Mongols also have an upgrade that whenever you destroy a ship, you get resources. So I'm putting it bad because I haven't tried that, and in general, if you play Mongol the normal way, it's not good. But if that strat turns out to be good, maybe Mongols is going to be better. So who knows? And I think that is it. I think we've covered, I'm going to double check, but we have covered every single map. This is the first Civ tier list that I've done per map, so I'm not sure if you guys enjoyed it or not. I'm not sure if you guys found it helpful or not, but I would love to hear your opinion, what you think, and if you want to see more of these whenever we have a new map pool. But for now, I hope I helped you. I hope I helped you. You know, if you play multiple civs, maybe decide which civ you want to play on this map. And again, I've said this 2 times, I'm going to say it a 3rd time. This does not mean that Delhi on this map is unplayable or French is just crap because, you know, China is better. I think at the end of the day, it all comes down to how you execute it. And at peak level, this is where it really matters, in my opinion, which civ is the best. But in general, you can play pretty much any civ on any map. But if you did need some guidance, there it is. I hope it helped. If you're watching on YouTube, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think about it. If you're watching on Twitch, let's keep going.